It's Wednesday. It's April 19th, 2023. I was wearing my purple hoodie and I went for a quick round. I still have stitches. So I have to be really careful, I can't run by the lake. So I'm on like a week's hiatus. As I was walking towards the NYPD camera that I signaled with, there was something that came on with Donnelly in Nassau. And again, I don't know her exact title, so I apologize. I don't mean to be, but I don't know that it's on the. So it says deep fake pornography. Concerning for me as of late is in the New York area post 9/11, after 9/11. Um, they've just recently, the administration seems to have changed in New York City, and then all of a sudden, it now looks like they're allowing stoning of women in New York City. They've opened up smoke shops that allow the sale of marijuana. I'm a little confused about this. Again, in all serious things, I mean, again, the seeds from the flower of the bloodline of the King George reps that exist and walk these lands, and Georgetown still being Georgetown, and George Washington being the first president, according to historians in this area on this side of the water. Um, First of all, um, when the American actors did a movie, this is called 12 Strong. I didn't mean to do that. But on here, um, it mentions horse. It's very specifically horse, not donkey, but a horse. I know that that has incredible significance, especially since here there's two different animals. And so, whatever, and the whatever. Um, I have a problem on one side of that equation, but then again, there's a problem on the other side, just as insidious as far as I'm concerned, with wasting in a blacksmith type of a way. So there's this deep fake pornography that came out. Now, if you have a computer, again, I heard there was something with Hunter Biden's laptop that went on. So I don't know if this is a logical conclusion of whatever, but my concern is if there's one terminal or one laptop and somebody is staying with you that doesn't belong to you, packed his you've packed his clothes in garbage bags and thrown them out of the house, but yet it still doesn't leave. And yet it uses your laptop, and you don't know what it searches, and you don't know how it's using your laptop. And it might build in Google, let's just say, analytics, the wrong impression for the impressionable, whoever they might be, at somebody's buying dirt somewhere and someone's selling it, and this becomes a big problem in deep fake pornography. In a, I don't know if it's normal psychology or if it's abnormal psychology on this conversation, but there's a problem with that form of data collection. And then how is it being used? And are the women, such as myself, who can't seem to shake this toilet paper off of my shoe? So I've whatever, and whatever. How does one disassociate and claim one's real life credit back for I don't want to get stoned. I don't want to get stoned for being a woman. I don't want to get stoned for throwing the clothes out on the front lawn and saying you have no place in my house and you're not welcome. I don't want to be called a crazy lady. I don't want prior issues with a crazy donkey. I mean, again, it's New York, but Georgetown, I believe, has the same horse. Like, again, the 12 Strong put the horse statue in New York by 9/11. At the end of the movie, they make reference to that. So I got a horse where I am in what was expectations. But instead, I mean, I could go between the RH negative and the RH positive, but I don't want to start a war between what went wrong and what like continues on in some tragic epic saga. So there is this crazy donkey problem that led into a blacksmith problem. And now I see in New York's real live area, women and men alike are getting stoned on the streets. And it's a real concern when you have children because there's this big, like, fiumare. Come si dice? Fiumare. Fiume. In the, I don't even know what they call it, in the streets of places I haven't been. Um, so anyway, so I'm listening to this deepfake pornography thing that's going on. They arrested somebody in the local area, male. But I'm just not sure how they're building Google profiles and they're punishing real life men and women who may not share the same anything, lifestyles, but there's some joint terminal. And again, I used to tell it all the time, that's my work computer, don't touch it. But when sleep happens, there's a lot that goes on in the house that one doesn't have control over. So it becomes like a real concern when you're living with somebody that you don't want to be living with and you don't know how to like clean house or like exit or get it to leave you alone. I mean, again, I filed paperwork after somebody intervened way, way long after the welcome was worn out. And it seems to be an ongoing issue. But here's what the story looks like. Also, in this area, because I think way back when there was a problem with repeated it's been an ongoing effort, let's just say since the 90s, in like out of the blue attacks on a couple of different ways.
A judge sentenced a Long Island man to 6 months in jail and must register as a sex offender. This after he took pictures from social media accounts of more than a dozen women and then turned them into pornographic images. The case now causing lawmakers to propose a bill to combat what is called deepfake pictures from being used to victimize other women. Eyewitness News report.
What about deep fake profiles in the digital realm of it's a happening now problem and it's affecting my real life and I don't want the fruition children or the fruit from the garden of Eden going forward, knowing that I have this high sensitivity in RH negative already. I've been affected my entire season. I'm still being affected at like towards the middle to end of my season. It's still not corrected for me. And now I've got children headed into their season, and I'm frightened for them. And they're still at Georgetown. I went to go visit not too long ago, so I know that they still exist. And I'm in New York, where it has the horse statue. They did not put in 12 strong, they did not put a donkey. They put a horse, because there's still two, there's a donkey and an elephant. So there is this whatever and whatever going on at all times.
Reporter Shantae Lands live in Nassau County Court in Mineola with more. Shantae.
Well, David, the district attorney, Ann Donnelly, proposed that new statute. She's looking for sponsors on that bill. Meanwhile, the victims and their families were inside the courthouse today when he was sentenced, and he also apologized, but for some, it was too little, too late. 22-year-old Patrick Carey of Seaford says nothing while walking into Nassau County Court for his sentencing. This after allegedly sharing sexually explicit so-called deepfaked images using stolen pictures of faces of more than a dozen underage women on a porn site and posting their personal contact information, encouraging website users to harass and threaten them with sexual violence. Carey was sentenced to 6 months in jail and 10 years of probation. The victims' families, today leaving court, were outraged.
He didn't get what he deserves. You all know that. We all know he didn't get what he deserves. We all know that.
Prosecutors say Carey went to high school and middle school with the women.
These incredible women are not victims.
Now, one of the Nassau County, I don't know, again, I think she's called a district attorney. I don't think they refer to her as a mother of this area, but her job would seem that she's in this type of capacity within the county, as I don't know if she works for the executive office. Again, I'm not real clear on it, but I know that she has a very high, important job looking over the garden of children that may not have an understanding as she has. And she fights for justice in this area, which is, I mean, again, it's like the pieces that are working and that make women like me feel comfortable that the system is still working. There's signs of the system still working in very real places.
Victims. Today, they are my heroes. I commend them for their courage, and I thank them for coming forward.
Nassau County District Attorney Ann Donnelly says the underage photos were taken from the TikTok and Instagram pages of the women and their families from 2019 to 2021. Donnelly says deepfake image is not a criminal offense in New York State.
The proposed statute will finally address criminally the threat of deep-faked explicit materials that are being weaponized against innocent New Yorkers.
She says the rise of deepfake imaging is why she drafted legislation, a statute in need of sponsorship called the Digital Manipulation Protection Act. If convicted under the bill, the felony charge would carry up to 7 years in prison. Although Carey's motive is unclear, he apologized to the victims and their families. But for some, it was too little, too late.
I hope he gets forgiveness from the higher power. That's all, because it's a horrible thing that he did.
Patrick Carey has to register now as a sex offender, and he has a stay-away order from all of the victims for at least 8 years. Outside of Nassau County Courthouse in Mineola, Shantae Lands, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Shantae.
So that was incredibly important for whatever. I don't really know how cybersecurity is working. I really don't know what parts of it are working. I don't know. But in order to find the lower level criminals, I know it's incredibly important, especially with, I've had higher order cyber interference within my energy field, or whatever the Bluetooth blueprint is called. I don't even have a word for it at this point. I don't know what a deep fake is necessarily as defined by whatever the higher power is at this point. I did go on Zoom today. I met with the community on the Zoom that I have access to locally. It dawns on me that I only have access to this Red Cross, but I don't know if I am offending anything in the multiple crosses of possibility, perhaps in a different color. I think there's a blue, there's a white that I've seen. So again, I don't want to spark off conflict in places that there's only access by foot, if by foot and by local automobile if necessary. I only see an a what they call church or institution, something with pews, in the local area that has a red cross on a white background. And one of them mentioned that it has something to do with the King's Church. So that seems really, really pertinent. It's just, again, I know General George Washington was the first president, American president, on our history books. That also is super important. It's also on the dollar bill, also very important. So it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.